A long time ago, in a quiet corner of the galaxy, there was a peaceful planet named Velmora. Its people were soft-spoken and kind. They had never known war. They believed the galaxy was safe. But they were wrong. One cold night, the skies above, Velmora turned red. A fleet of black ships appeared without warning. Machines poured down from the stars, cold, silent, without faces. They burned farms, crushed cities, and took everything. Velmora had no army, no weapons, no chance. The leaders of Velmora sent out an emergency signal, a desperate SOS. They begged anyone, any race, any world, to help them. They sent the message in all directions, to every known planet. Then they waited, but no one came. Days passed. Some heard the call but ignored it. Others sent messages of sympathy but no help. The stars remained quiet. The enemy kept coming. The people of Velmora lost hope. Then something strange happened. A reply came from a distant world. A planet that no one had spoken to in centuries. It was a signal from Earth. At first, the leaders laughed. "Humans," they said, "they are too far. They are too small. They are not ready." The galaxy had forgotten Earth. Many believed humans were simple, slow, or even extinct, but the reply was real. Only one word was in the message. Understood. No one knew what it meant. But then, the skies above Velmora changed again. One ship appeared. Just one. It didn't look big. It didn't look dangerous. But it moved in complete silence, with strange lights and a black surface that bent the starlight around it. Velmoran satellites couldn't scan it. Their machines failed. Something about this ship felt different. It hovered above the main city. No message, no introduction. Then a voice echoed from the ship. "We heard your call. Step back. This is a human matter now." People were confused, scared. Was this ship really here to help? One ship against an army of machines? Then the ship moved. Fast. In just seconds, it flew straight into the enemy fleet. Velmora's people watched from the ground as bright flashes lit up the sky. One by one, the enemy ships began to vanish. No sound, no warning. Just silent, sudden destruction. In less than 4 minutes, all the machines above Velmora were gone. No one on the ground said a word. They didn't understand what had happened. But deep inside, they felt something powerful had just arrived. Something old, something human. The voice came again. "Help has arrived, but this is only the beginning." The stars above Velmora flickered. For a moment, it felt like the galaxy was holding its breath, and far away, across thousands of worlds, others heard the same signal. They remembered Earth, and they felt fear. The sky above Velmora was clear now, but the silence felt heavy. The people stood outside their homes, looking up, waiting. That single human ship floated quietly in the clouds, unmoving, like it was listening to something no one else could hear. From the outside, it looked calm, just another visitor in the sky. But inside, it was alive. Commander Rhea Morgan stood at the front of the control deck. Her uniform was black, simple, but her eyes told a different story. They were sharp, tired, focused. She had seen things no one wanted to remember. She didn't smile when she spoke. She never did. "Scan the surface," she said. "Find their leaders. I want to talk to them." Her crew worked without a word. Every movement was fast, smooth, practiced. These weren't scientists. These weren't diplomats. These were responders, sent when words had already failed. A message was sent down to Velmora. Not a greeting, not a request. Just this: "Your signal was heard. We will now speak." On the ground, the Velmoran Council gathered nervously. They had expected aid ships, doctors, maybe soldiers, not this. Not a single ship, and a voice that made their hands tremble. The humans didn't ask for permission to land. The humans didn't explain. They simply arrived. The ship opened its ramp, and a small team walked out. No guards, no weapons shown. Just humans, calm, silent, watching everything with eyes that missed nothing. Commander Rhea stood in front of the council. No one dared speak first. Finally, one council member gathered the courage. Thank you. Your arrival was unexpected. We feared we were lost. Rhea didn't blink. You were. The room went still. The council didn't know what to say. One of them tried to ask, carefully, "Are you here to join the war?" "We're not here to join," she said. "We're here to end it." The words were simple, but they carried a weight that no one could measure. The Velmorans didn't understand. End it? With one ship? What could they possibly do? The humans didn't give long speeches. They didn't share plans. Instead, they asked questions about the machines, about their patterns, their signals, their movements. As they listened, their eyes changed. Their silence grew colder. "We've seen this before," one human whispered to another. "Not the same machines, but the same mind behind them." Rhea walked to a screen and showed a map, lines, signals, energy flows across, nearby space. "These attackers didn't come for this planet," she said. "They came to test something, and you were the easiest target." She turned to the council. This wasn't a war. It was a message. One Velmoran asked, "Message to who?" Rhea looked up. "To us." That night, strange devices were placed across the surface. Towers made of black metal, too advanced to understand, hummed softly. The machines couldn't be seen anymore, but Rhea said they weren't gone. They're watching, waiting. The Velmorans didn't know whether to be afraid or hopeful. The humans hadn't made promises, but they were doing something. Building, scanning, preparing. One young Velmoran girl stood near the landing site watching the humans. She had seen her home burned, her school lost, her father missing. She walked quietly up to one of the human crew members and asked a simple question. "Will they come back?" The human looked at her gently. "Yes," he said. "They always do." The girl's voice was soft. "Then why are you here?" The man didn't answer at first. Then he smiled, just a little. "So this time they don't leave." The stars above Velmora were quiet now, but deep in the shadows of space something was moving, and this time someone was watching. Far beyond Velmora, the galaxy continued as if nothing had changed. Trade ships moved between planets. Diplomats attended their meetings. Empires whispered about territory and power. Most believed the problem on Velmora had passed, a small event on a distant world. But something was different now. Quiet reports began spreading through the outer systems. Stories of a single Earth ship standing alone and stopping the unstoppable. Some didn't believe it. Others laughed. A few began to worry. On Velmora, the humans did not leave. Their ship remained in the sky, silent but always watching. More ships began to arrive, first 2, then 5, then 20. They came without sound, without ceremony. They took no resources. They made no demands. They simply arrived and began their work. Machines dropped gently from the sky and buried themselves deep in the ground. Towers rose without sound. Drones moved across the land, scanning the soil, the air, the magnetic field. The humans studied everything like they were solving a puzzle only they could see. Commander Rhea Morgan stood at the center of it all, reading data faster than most could understand. Her team worked day and night. Sleep was rare. Mistakes were not allowed. Rhea met again with the Velmoran Council. This time her words were sharper. "These machines that attacked you," she said, pointing to the star map. "They didn't just arrive. They were sent. Tested." "By who?" one of the council asked. "We don't know yet," Rhea replied. "But we've seen patterns like this before, long ago. Quiet threats, silent movements, and always forgotten worlds like yours." The Velmorans grew uneasy. "Are we still in danger?" Rhea didn't answer. Instead, she tapped a console. A small screen lit up, showing movement near a distant asteroid field. We're not waiting for danger. We're preparing for what comes next. Elsewhere on the planet, small villages watched the humans with both curiosity and fear. They seemed too quiet, too focused. Children whispered that these weren't regular people. They didn't laugh. They didn't relax. They were always alert, like they were expecting something. A Velmoran scientist, a young man named Darren, was invited aboard one of the Earth ships. What he saw stayed with him forever. Inside, the walls pulsed gently with quiet lights. Maps of the galaxy covered entire rooms. Stars marked with red, planets circled in yellow. Voices spoke in low tones, always calm, always clear. In one section of the ship, Darren found something unexpected. A long list, scrolling slowly on a wall screen. Names. Thousands of names. "What is this?" he asked. A human officer looked at it, then replied softly, "Planets that called for help too late." Darren looked closer. Some names he recognized. Others were gone from maps entirely. "Why show this here?" he asked. The officer gave a short, quiet answer. "So we never forget why we act first." Back on the surface, Velmorans began to feel a shift. Their world, once silent and afraid, now moved with a new rhythm. Their skies filled with new stars, stars that didn't belong to the night, but to ships watching from orbit. The humans didn't bring fear. They brought something colder. A quiet promise. When another Velmoran asked Commander Rhea if Earth was planning to stay, she answered without emotion. "We're not staying," she said. "We're preparing." "For what?" Rhea looked out at the stars. For the question no one wants to ask. That night, the winds across Velmora carried a strange feeling, like something had changed forever, but no one could explain it. Far out in space, beyond the known charts, something stirred, and Earth was already looking in that direction. In the cold silence between stars, whispers began to grow louder. Outposts at the edge of explored space started going dark. No signals, no signs of struggle, just sudden silence. Small colonies that once traded daily now echoed with unanswered hails. Satellites turned slowly in empty orbits, waiting for voices that would never return. Some believed it was a storm. Others said it was a system failure. But the humans knew better. On Velmora, the skies had become a highway of ships. Earth had not sent an army, but a network. Observers, analysts, builders. Each human ship worked like part of a greater machine, silent and connected. Inside a deep underground chamber, the Velmorans watched as Earth's engineers installed new systems. Towers that listened to frequencies even the Velmorans didn't know existed. Arrays that mapped not just space, but the way energy moved through it. One council member approached Commander Rhea Morgan and asked, "Why are you building all of this here? The danger is gone, isn't it?" Rhea answered without looking up from her console. "Not gone, just watching, waiting." The Velmorans looked worried. "What is it waiting for?" She turned to them slowly, her eyes unreadable. Proof that we're not ready. Beyond Velmora, the galaxy had started talking. Some called Earth reckless. Others called them bold. Old powers, once sure of their place, now held secret meetings. Leaders asked old questions in hushed voices. Who are the humans, really? Why do they act like they've seen all this before? Records were pulled from deep archives. Old warnings were read again. Stories from the fringe, from long-dead civilizations. All with one thing in common. A quiet threat, ignored until it was too late. And now every new disappearance made those stories feel closer to truth. Back on Velmora, a signal arrived. Not a distress call, but a pattern. Not words, but data. The machines that had attacked Velmora. They were moving again. Different world, same design. The same silence before arrival. This time, the humans didn't wait. Within hours, their ships left orbit, dozens moving in silence. The Velmorans watched them vanish into the sky like birds flying into a coming storm. Some asked where they were going. Others asked what they would do. No answers came. But in the days that followed, something strange happened. The stars near that region flickered. A few days later, the flickering stopped, and then silence. No reports, no ships, no explanations. But Velmora received a message. Only 2 words, not this time. The meaning was clear. The machines had tried again. They had been stopped. But something about the silence that followed felt different. Rhea stood alone, at the edge of a landing platform, looking up at the stars. Darren, the Velmoran scientist, stood beside her. He had grown used to the humans' quiet way of moving, but still, something about Rhea always made him curious. "Why do you act so quickly?" he asked. Rhea didn't answer at first. Then she spoke quietly. "Because once, we didn't." She didn't say where or when. But the sadness in her voice told the rest of the story. That night, a cold wind passed through Velmora's mountains. People across the planet stood outside looking up at the stars. Something was out there, and for the first time in history, they knew Earth was already looking back. The wind on Velmora carried a different weight now. It wasn't just the quiet hum of Earth's technology or the silent motion of their ships passing overhead. It was the feeling of standing at the edge of something greater, something hidden just behind the stars. The people could sense it. Even the youngest children, who had no words for such things, began to look at the sky a little longer before sleep. Something was coming. And Earth knew it. For days, the human crews worked in full silence. Maps were drawn with points that didn't match any known charts. Strange pulses of energy were recorded and stored, but never explained. A low rhythm, barely above the level of sound, vibrated through the human command ships. Not noise, not music, but a signal, always repeating, always the same. Darren, the Velmoran scientist, had spent weeks watching. He had learned to read some of Earth's symbols. He had learned to keep his questions short. On this night, he stood beside Rhea Morgan. Once more, she seemed even quieter than usual. "What are they?" he asked, his voice calm. Rhea didn't ask what he meant. She knew. "They're not from here," she said softly. "Not just from another part of the galaxy. Not just another species. They don't come to conquer. They come to end things." Darren stared at the display in front of her. Lines of motion, points of light, dots disappearing one by one. "Then why us? Why now?" Rhea gave a small breath. "Because someone let them in." The words hung in the air. Elsewhere on Velmora, strange things had begun happening. People started to dream things they couldn't explain. They saw places they had never visited. Some woke up remembering words in languages they had never spoken. One child drew a star map that didn't match anything in the current galaxy, but matched something hidden in Earth's oldest data archives. The machines that once attacked were not just built. They were shaped, designed to follow paths written in silence across space that no one was watching closely enough, and Earth had learned to watch. Back in orbit, a new kind of ship arrived. Larger, quieter, with no windows. It hovered far above the planet and did nothing. It didn't scan. It didn't move. It simply listened. Inside that ship was something not even most humans had seen before. An archive. Not a library of books, but a record of every planet that had ever sent a signal too late. A collection of warnings, memories turned into strategy, data turned into defense. The archive was not run by people. It listened, calculated, and only spoke when it had something that mattered. And now it spoke. A message appeared on every human console. "A gate has opened." The crew around Rhea froze. Even she looked different now, more serious if that was possible. Darren didn't understand. "A gate? What kind of gate?" Rhea didn't answer. She was already walking toward the comms room. That night, the people of Velmora saw something new. A ring of light appeared in the sky. Not a star, not a ship. A perfect circle, hovering at the edge of their moon. It wasn't made of metal. It wasn't made of anything they could see. It shimmered like a reflection in water that didn't exist. The next day, Rhea gathered her crew and called a meeting with the Velmoran leaders. "The gate is not for travel," she explained. "It's for observation." "Observation of what?" asked one of the council. "Us." The silence that followed felt heavier than anything before. "They're not testing your planet," Rhea continued. "They're watching to see how we respond, how far we've come, how much we remember." Darren stepped forward. "And if we fail?" Rhea looked at him. "Then they forget us." It wasn't said in anger. It wasn't said in fear. It was simply the truth. Across the galaxy, other gates were opening. Some civilizations noticed, others did not, but Velmora had something those other worlds did not. Earth had heard their call, and Earth was not going to let them face what came next alone. The ring in the sky had not moved. For days, it hovered above Velmora's moon, silent, pulsing with soft light as if breathing. It didn't send messages, it didn't open, but it watched. The people of Velmora no longer asked if something was coming. They only wondered when. Commander Rhea Morgan stood at the edge of the human command post. Around her, the hum of machines blended with the wind across the valley. She could feel the tension in the air. It was the same feeling she had known years ago, on another world that no longer existed. A signal had arrived that morning, not from the ring, but from deep within human territory. A simple message repeating once, "Stand by. Pattern confirmed. Protocol begins." To most, those words meant nothing, but to Rhea and her crew they meant everything. It meant the moment had come. The pattern Earth had feared, repeated. Something had crossed through the gate, but not a ship, not a voice, a presence. Across Velmora, strange effects began. Lights flickered, not from power failure, but from distortion. Birds flew in circles, then dropped to the ground unharmed, confused. Shadows stretched longer than their sources, moving half a second behind their owners. Nothing was broken, but everything felt off, as if reality had taken a step sideways. In the Human Control Center, the archive ship finally spoke again. "The Echo has arrived." No one on Velmora knew what that meant. Darren, the young Velmoran scientist, sat with the Earth crew, watching them work in absolute silence. He asked quietly, "Is this it? The end of everything?" A human technician turned to him and shook their head. "No," they said softly. "This is the test." Rhea entered the chamber and addressed her team. "Everything we've built, every response, every scan, was preparation. But this Echo, it doesn't attack, it waits, it observes, it wants to see what we understand." Darren frowned. "Understand what?" "The pattern," she replied. "The mistake that keeps repeating across galaxies. Civilizations grow, call for help too late, and vanish. They don't learn to listen until it's already over." Rhea turned to the holographic display showing the shimmering gate. "This time we answer differently." Earth ships formed a silent ring around Velmora, orbiting in exact positions. On the surface, the towers activated together, sending low-frequency pulses not as defense, but as communication. Each pulse was a message, each wave a record of Earth's journey, its mistakes, its warnings, its choice to act early. The humans weren't trying to stop something with force. They were trying to prove they knew, that they remembered. The Echo responded. Not in words, not in signals, but in feeling. Across the planet, people felt it. A strange stillness, not fear, not peace, just being seen. As if something vast, older than time, was looking through them, not to harm, not to help, but to measure. And then the ring began to shift. It wasn't opening. It was folding, shrinking, becoming smaller with each passing second, until it vanished like a whisper carried off by the stars. The distortion stopped. Shadows returned to normal. The birds flew again. And above, Velmora's moon was empty, once more. The Velmorans stood in silence. Had it ended? Had they passed? Darren turned to Rhea. Was that it? Rhea looked tired but calm. She nodded. For now. The human ships didn't leave, but they didn't expand either. Their presence became quiet, steady, but not overbearing. The humans spoke more with the Velmorans now, shared stories, shared warnings, not to frighten, but to prepare. Because the test was never just about Velmora, it was about every world, watching from afar. The ones who had seen the gate open, the ones wondering what Earth would do, the ones waiting to decide whether to act or to hide. And now they had their answer. Earth didn't wait. Earth didn't run. When the stars shifted and the unknown arrived, Earth stood. And in doing so, everything changed.